I apologize. Technical difficulties. You know how I go down, Israel. You already know how I go down. But this is History in the AM. Today I'm your host, Officer Seer, IURC Raleigh, all right? And we're going to get right into it, okay? So the title for today's class is The Prayer That Saved Tobit, all right? The Prayer That Saved Tobit, all right? So we're going to go into some history today about our forefather, Tobit, and a couple things he had to go through in order for the Lord to put stuff in place. All right. The Lord do everything for a reason. And like I mentioned before in the last class that I taught, sometimes the Lord, well, you know what? That's heavy, because I just did a class where I said the Lord will put stuff in place where he puts the spirit on other people to help you, and you don't even know about it. So this is another case where the Lord put a spirit on somebody to help his brother in another place. That was, I didn't even think about that till just now. That was heavy how that just lined up. But this is called the prayer that saved Tobit. All right. So we're gonna get right into it. Start my favorite scripture. Y'all already know what it is. Romans chapter 8 and verse 19. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. You already know what this is going into. My favorite scripture. It says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. Meaning everything on this earth is waiting on the sons of God to wake up out of their sleep, come back to the nationality, come back to keeping God's laws so that Christ can come back and not only save us, but save them and it as well. You know what I'm saying? The ozone layer is waiting on us. The atmosphere, the fishes, the birds, the animals, sea life, the bug life, everything is waiting on the children of Israel, the sons of God, to wake up to who they truly are, to get back to ruling this place like it was meant to be. Everybody's waiting on us. It is what it is. All right. Job chapter 8 and verse 8. Job chapter 8 and verse 8. And it reads, for inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. Prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. And how you going to prepare yourself for the search of your fathers? You have to go to the history of your fathers. And where is that history? In the Old Testament. Now, maybe sometimes we go into the New Testament too, because it was still history back then. But a lot of times we're going to go into the Old Testament to give y'all that history that the Christian pastor do not like to talk about. They don't like to go into the Old Testament. It is what it is. They don't like, unless they're reading Psalms. Speaking of that, let me get Psalms chapter 77 verse 5. Yeah, I threw that in there. I ain't no good. Psalms chapter 77 and verse 5. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. So we have to consider the days of old and the years of ancient times. Meaning we got to go back in the ancient times in order to get the history of our forefathers and our foremothers. All right. Now, I'm going to try to get through this. Will it happen? We're going to see. But, okay. So the title, I'm going to say it again, The Prayer That Saved Tobit. So today, you know what I'm saying, we're going to be going into some Northern Kingdom history. Being as though I am Northern Kingdom, it's only right that we get some Northern Kingdom history for the history in the AM. I mean, to me, it just makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Okay. This is what I'm going to do first. First, I want to say this. When you read it in the Old Testament, when you go into the book of Chronicles is going into the Southern Kingdom kings. Okay, when you read in Chronicles, it's going into the Southern Kingdom kings, and when you read First and Second Kings, that's going into the kings and the history of the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay, when you read in Chronicles, you're going into the kings of the southern kingdom, and when you read First and Second Kings, you're going into the kings of the northern kingdom. All right, Chronicles, southern kingdom, First and Second Kings, northern kingdom. Just want to preface that. So, during the time of the kings, you had somebody named King Hezekiah. All right, King Hezekiah seen something that was about to take place to the children of Israel. He seen the atrocities and stuff that was happening to the children of Israel that was being committed by a heathen of another nation. So in that regards, King Hezekiah made a prayer to the Lord for the Lord to save us out of the hands of this quote unquote ruling king, or this ruling heathen king at the time. He wanted the Lord to save us from him. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is due to the prayer that he made to the Most High, the Lord heard the prayer and was able to save the children of Israel. Okay. And one person in particular that he saved and looked out for because of that prayer was Tobit. Okay. It was Tobit. So I just want to preface that first. That's going to be the theme today. And it's heavy because I wasn't even trying to line this up. All praise to the Most High. This lines exactly up with the class that I just did. The Council in Heaven from Zechariah's point of view. So make sure y'all go check that out too. But let's get started. 2 Kings chapter 19, and we're going to start at verse 6. And Isaiah said unto them, thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith the Lord, be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. The servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. So it was a king that was ruling at the time of the Assyrians that had blasphemed the name of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Wrote a big letter, said a whole bunch of stuff about how he was going to destroy the children of Israel. He was going to make them eat dung, all this stuff. How he was going to destroy the palaces. He made a bunch of proclamations and blasphemed the Most High God. At this time, Hezekiah is talking about it. Okay, I'm going to read it again. And Isaiah said unto them, this was a prophecy from Isaiah, thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith the Lord, be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Who was that king of Assyria at this time that blasphemed the Lord? It was a man called Sennacherib. Okay, King Sennacherib. That was the man that blasphemed the Lord. That's what the Lord is talking about at this time. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to jump down a couple verses and we're going to get to the prayer or the supplication that King Hezekiah made to the Lord about this heathen king Sennacherib. All right, 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 10. Let me preface y'all, we're going to be reading a little bit. All right, this is history in the AM. Verse 10, thus shall ye speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, let not thy God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands. So Hezekiah heard what the king of Assyria was doing to all the land. Sennacherib and the Assyrians was destroying the children of Israel. And we're going to get into the atrocities that they was doing. But they was doing some foul stuff to us, man. I'm trying to tell you. The Assyrians was wilding out on us, okay? But it was a reason for that. And Lord's will, time permit itself, we going to get it. By destroying them utterly. And shalt thou be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them? which my fathers have destroyed, as Gozan and Haran and Rezeph and the children of Eden, which were in Thalazar. Verse 13. Where is the king of Hamath, and the king of Apad, and the king of the city of Sarabvam, of Hannah, and Eva? And Hezekiah received the letter of the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went into the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. So Hezekiah took that letter that was given to him, said, yo, this is what this king is saying. This is what he's saying, blaspheming the name of the Lord. So Hezekiah went and took it. He took that and he spread it before the Lord so he can tell the Lord and pray to the Lord and tell him exactly what this heathen said about him and the children of Israel. And verse 15, and Hezekiah prayed before the Lord and said, O Lord God of Israel, which dwellest between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Lord, bow down thine ear and hear. Open, Lord, thine eyes and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which have sent him to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have destroyed the nations and their lands. So Hezekiah is praying to the Lord. So, hey, bow down your ear and listen. Open your eyes and see and hear the words of Sennacherib. And please come and save us from the hands of this man because of the destruction that he's doing to the children of Israel. Okay, that was the prayer that was made by King Hezekiah. Now, did the Lord hear him? Or did the Lord say, nah, you're going to suffer? We're going to get to it. But I wanted to start there because that is the prayer that ultimately saved Tobit in the end. And if we get the time, we're going to get it. All right. Now, this is the prayer that Hezekiah made against Sennacherib. Okay. Who was Sennacherib? Sennacherib was a king around the time of 710 BC. And he lived during the time of, right around the time period, during, this is approximately 705 to 681. Somewhere up in there, right? 705 to 681. And around 710, he began to rule over the northern kingdom of Israel. He began to destroy them even more because he ruled after the time of King Sargon II. All right. He began to rule after King Sargon II. And we'll get that history if we have time. Okay. So it was 3 waves for the northern kingdom history. Okay. Here we go. Israelite history. It was 3 waves to the northern kingdom of Israel being shipped out into captivity by the Assyrians. Okay. Sennacherib began to come in and start ruling after the 3rd wave. That 3rd wave was Sargon II. Okay. So Sennacherib began to come after that 3rd wave. So now I'm gonna do my best to get through the first 2 waves, or I'm gonna do my best to run through, but make sure y'all understand it, the first 3 waves in order to get to Sennacherib. And let's, pray all praise to the Most High. Let's pray we got enough time to do it. All right. So now we're going to start with Isaiah chapter 10. Now I know y'all wondering why we're starting with Isaiah chapter 10, because Isaiah prophesied. The Lord put the spirit on Isaiah to prophesy about the coming of Sennacherib and the Assyrians period and what they was going to be doing to the children of Israel. Okay. Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. So the Lord is saying the Assyrians that he's going to use is the rod of his anger. See, a lot of times what y'all going to understand is when the Lord wants to judge the children of Israel, he can come down here if he wants to, but he ain't doing that. He said, no, 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 no. I ain't getting off my throne. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the spirit on another nation to judge y'all. Hence why we went into slavery. The Lord put the spirit on the Edomites, the Moabites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Elamites, all of them to put us in slavery. So a lot of nations think they all powerful. They think they big and bad and that they did this on their own. No, 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 no. The Lord put the spirit on us not to fight back. And the Lord put the spirit on y'all to do that because we broke his commandments. So the Lord is saying, since we broke his commandments, he's going to use the children of Assyria, the Assyrians. They're going to be the rod of his anger, meaning he's going to use them to punish the children of Israel for breaking his commandments. That's all it is. It ain't y'all of y'all own will. Y'all ain't doing that. Y'all got to stop wilding. But we're going to keep reading. Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 6. I will send him against an hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge. We are a hypocritical nation. The children of Israel, rebellious as all get out. And the Lord said, I'm going to use the Assyrians to punish them because they're a hypocritical nation. And we're going to keep reading. And against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mires of the street. That's what's going to happen. And that's exactly what they did when the Lord put the spirit on them to do so for us breaking his law, statutes, and commandments. So Isaiah had already prophesied about the Lord putting the spirit on the Assyrians to come against us and destroy us for breaking his laws. That's how it lines up. That's exactly how it lines up. Okay. So now that we got the prophecy, let's see when it actually came into play. Okay. So now, hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, we got some time. Okay. So now we about to go into the first wave of the northern kingdom go into captivity to the Assyrians. We're about to go into the first wave. All right. Remember, I told you it was 3 waves, and Sennacherib came after the third wave. So I got the preference, the first 3 really, to catch y'all up to speed for those that may not know this particular Northern Kingdom history. All right. So what we're going to start at, we're going to go to 2 Kings. Remember I told you 1st and 2nd Kings have the kings of the Northern Kingdom. Remember that. Remember that. We may hit Chronicles today, I'm not sure, but we're definitely going to be in 2 Kings a lot. Okay. 2 Kings a lot. And we're going to be in Isaiah a lot. All right. So we're going to start with 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 19. And Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land. And Pul. Who is Pul? Pul is Tiglath-Pileser the third. Tiglath-Pileser the third. And we're going to get that history. It's in the scriptures. But when you go into the Bible and you look up these, you hear about these historical characters, go online and Google them to see if it's true. And you're going to see Tiglath-Pileser. You know what I'm saying? And it says, and Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land. And Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand. So Tiglath-Pileser came up against the northern kingdom of Israel, Samaria, in that area, in that landmass, came up against the children of Israel, right? Because the northern kingdom had kings back to back to back to back, and they was always doing black on black crime. They was always going against each other. Generational sin. Northern kingdom crazy. They'd get a king to be over the northern kingdom because you know the children of Israel split after Solomon. So southern kingdom had their own kings. The northern kingdom had their own king. Northern kingdom will get a king and somebody will conspire to kill him within a month. And now we got another northern kingdom king. And it just kept going on and on and on. And we're going to get that history. We're going to get some of that history. But we are talking about Tiglath-Pileser, okay? So Tiglath-Pileser came against the land, the children of Israel, okay? Now, we're going to jump over, same chapter, 2 Kings, chapter 15. what we're going to do is we're going to jump to verse 29 to get the first wave. All right. 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, and we're going to get that history about Pekah, or Pekah, came Tiglath-Pileser, or Pul. We just read about that in verse 19. King of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel Bethmachain and Janonah and Kadesh and Hazar and Gilead and Galilee and all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria. So Tiglath-Pileser came during the time of the northern kingdom king Pekah, and began to take the northern kingdom of Israel over and bring them over to Assyria. Okay, this happened between the time period of 722 BC. Okay, this was 722 BC up in that time frame, and the entire time frame was 747 to 727 BC. Okay, so when you read 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 29, you might want to write that down. That is the first wave of an Assyrian king taking the northern kingdom of Israel to Assyria for captivity. That's the first wave. It started with Tiglath-Pileser the third. Make sure y'all write that down. The third. All right. Let's get First Chronicles. Remember, I told y'all we might get Chronicles. First Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 26. Let's get some more on Tiglath-Pileser coming against the northern kingdom of Israel to take them into captivity into Assyria. First Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 26. And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul. Remember, Pul is Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and he brought them unto Halah and Habar and Harah and to the river Gozan unto this day. When they say until this day, it's talking about the day that was written in Chronicles, until that day. Okay, so Tiglath-Pileser came against the children of Israel, and he took Reuben, he took Gad, and he took Manasseh, and took them over into captivity, carried them away into Assyrian captivity. All right, that was Pul. That was Tiglath-Pileser, aka Pul. He was the one that did the first wave against the children of Israel, particularly the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay, like I told y'all before, this is gonna be some northern kingdom history, and we're gonna throw Judah in there too. You know I love y'all. You know I do. So now we're gonna go back to 2 Kings, because after Tiglath-Pileser, after he ruled in his stead, after him came Shalmaneser the fifth. Okay, Shalmaneser the fifth came and began to rule after Tiglath-Pileser. Okay, now this is going to be the second wave of the northern kingdom being shipped to Assyria, because it wasn't just one big swoop and they just took northern kingdom. No, they did it in waves. So Tiglath-Pileser was the first wave. Shalmaneser the fifth is going to be the second wave. Now, this was during the time period of 727 to 722. This was during that time period when the second wave happened to the northern kingdom of Israel. All right. So now we had the first wave, which was Tiglath-Pileser. We're going to have the second wave with this Shalmaneser the fifth. All right, and then we're going to get the third wave, which is Sargon. Do I want to get that now? You know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I hope I can remember that. But now, let's start about the second wave. Second Kings chapter 17, and we're gonna start at verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. Now, when you read in the history of Isaiah chapter 7, Samaria was the land of. Let me just get it. Let me get it so people don't think we lying. Hosea, I'm gonna be quick. Hosea chapter 7 and verse 8. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is risen. And within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, is Samaria, is Samaria. And the head of Samaria is Ramaliah's son. If ye will not believe, surely you shall not be established. So Ephraim, which is the northern kingdom of Israel, is the head of Assyria, and the head of Ephraim is Samaria. Speaking too fast. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria. So when you see stuff like when you see in the Old Testament when it say Israel or it'll say Ephraim, it's talking about the northern kingdom of Israel. And sometimes when you see Jew or you will see Jews or you will see Judah or something like that, most of the time it's talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the southern kingdom of Israel. That's why you'll see Judah and Israel. That's the southern and the northern kingdom due to the split because of what happened with Solomon. But nevertheless, that said, Ephraim is Samaria, okay? The head of Ephraim is Samaria, okay? So now, Hosea began to reign, King Hosea, which was the last ruling king of the northern kingdom. He began to reign in Samaria over 9 years. Now, remember I told you earlier, it was a lot of black on black crime with the northern kingdom of Israel. They was killing each other. This person to kill this person because they wanted status. They wanted to be the king. And then that person to kill that person because he wanted to be king. So when we go into King Hoshea, the son of Elah, how did he become the king of Israel, of the northern kingdom? Let's see. We're going to jump back. We're going to jump back 2 chapters. 2 Kings chapter 15, and we're going to read verse 30. Let's get that. And Hoshea, the son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, his brother, his own brother. He made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Ramaliah, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead. So he smote him, he slew him, then he began to reign as the king. In the 12th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. So when you get back over to 2 Kings chapter 17, King Hoshea, the reason why he became the king of Israel, which is the northern kingdom, is because he killed his brother Pekah. He conspired against him, he smote him, he slew him, then he began to reign as king in his stead. That's what northern kingdom was doing with each other. A lot of black on black crime with each other. Northern kingdom ain't right, man. We ain't right. We got a lot of work to do. But that's how Hoshea became king. He conspired to kill his brother to take his spot. All right. Now, back to 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 2. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Why? Because he conspired against his brethren to kill him so he could be king. That's why he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. That's what the Lord means. That's evil. But not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Because we did have a few kings that was on point. We did. But he didn't do that. Hoshea conspired against Pekah. He smote Pekah. He slew Pekah. And then took his kingdom and started reigning as the king. Great. Verse 3. And against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. Remember, Shalmaneser V is the second wave of Assyria. And Hoshea became his servant and gave him tribute. When it says in verse 3 that Hoshea, the king, gave him tribute, That meant what? That means during that time, Shalmaneser V was telling Hoshea, listen, I'm ruling over y'all now. But if you want to remain king, you got to pay me tribute to remain king over the children of Israel, even though I'm still going to be over y'all. If you want to keep that little status of yours, because, you know, Shalmaneser, like that little status, you want to keep that little status of yours, you got to pay me tribute. That's what it means when it says, and gave him present. Hoshea had to pay Shalmaneser V to remain king. Okay? Which, if you got to do that, are you really still a king? Absolutely not. That's why he was the last ruling king under the northern kingdom section. And when you go into that, he was the last ruling king of the northern kingdom, and Zedekiah was the last ruling king of the southern kingdom kings. He was the last one, Zedekiah. Okay? Some southern kingdom history for y'all. Told y'all I love y'all. We're going to keep reading because we're still in the second wave, all right? We're going to read verse 4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him into prison, because that tribute wasn't getting paid like it used to be year by year. It was getting paid year by year, and it stopped. So he went down there, he shut him up and put him in prison. Verse 5. I told you it's going to be a little bit of reading. I'll deal with it. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. So King Shalmaneser V besieged Samaria, which is where the northern kingdom area is, besieged them 3 years. 3 years, cut off all the spoil, cut off the food, everything. He besieged the northern kingdom that was in Samaria for 3 years. All right. What verse are we at? We still, okay, now we in verse 6. Now I want y'all to pay attention to this. This is the scripture I wanted to get to. Verse 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 6. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria, took Samaria. So Shalmaneser finally fully took Samaria and carried Israel, which is the northern kingdom, away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habar by the river of Gozan, which is the same prophecy that we read earlier, that the Assyrians would come against the children of Israel and take them to these certain areas after he went into their land and took them captive. It just happened. So verse 6 is where you want to go to write down. So 2 Kings chapter 17, verses 1 to 6, mainly verse 6 is when the bulk of northern kingdom, another huge bulk, was taken into Assyrian captivity, was taken to Assyria. Okay, that was a larger bulk. That was the second wave of the northern kingdom of Israel going into captivity into Assyria. Okay. Hope everybody got that. We're making good time, and I'm lining up the waves as best as I can so we can get past the third wave so we can begin to get into Sennacherib. Okay. Now remember the title, The Prayer That Saved Tobit. King Hezekiah, we already read it earlier, that King Hezekiah made a prayer to the Lord concerning the coming of Sennacherib and all the things that he was going to be doing. And when Sennacherib got there, because of the prophecy from Isaiah, King Hezekiah physically seen what Sennacherib and the Assyrian kings was doing to the children of Israel. Okay? Now, that we got that. We're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 17. We're going to stay there, and we're going to jump to verse 24 to talk about what happened when the Assyrians took us out of our land. What happened to our land? 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuthon, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Saravaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So when King Shalmaneser came up against Samaria, took over the land, took over another bulk of the northern kingdom, and put them in captivity and shipped them off to Assyria. That land is now vacant. The land of Samaria is now open. What do you think the heathen did? They brung other heathens that he was over from other nationalities and other land masses and put them in our land to live in and to rule over. So they shipped us out and put somebody else in our land. What that sound like today? That sounds like what happened to us during the sub-Saharan slave trade, during the transatlantic slave trade, during the Silk Road slave trade. That's what that sounds like that happened. They took us over, took us out of our land, especially the northern kingdom, especially the tribe of Gad, took us out of our land, shipped us off, and had somebody else to live here and say is theirs. It's the same thing. But it started with the Assyrians. Deportation. That's what this is. This is deportation. Okay? May the Lord bring swift judgment on ICE and all of them people. That's what this is going into. Deportation back then. Pisses me off. All right. So now that we're in the second wave, who was the prominent figure that was in the second wave that was taken captive as well? Tobit was amongst that second wave during Shalmaneser V. So now we're going to jump into some other history, because when you're reading the history, you got to take the biblical characters that's in the Bible and place them in the history of the time period that was going on and the time period of what they lived in. And during this time, during 2 Kings, you want to stop right there and then go to the second wave to see who else was there. And one of those people was Tobit. So now we're going to get the book of Tobit, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now I'm warning you now, we're going to do some reading, but Lord's will, we're going to be able to get through it. But we're going to do some reading, all right? Now remember, I told you in 2 Kings chapter 17, King Shalmaneser took a larger bulk of the northern kingdom and took them and placed them in Assyria for Assyrian captivity. And Tobit was amongst that. Tobit chapter 1, verse 1. The book of the words of Tobit. Okay, now Tobit is in the Apocrypha, okay? If you got a 16, if you got a, what's this? 1611. See if I can show y'all. Can y'all see it? You got a Cambridge. Mine kind of worn down. It's got the whole all the books in it, including the Apocrypha. All right. The book of the words of Tobit, son of Tobiel, the son of Anaiel, the son of Aduel, the son of Gabael, of the seed of Asael, of the tribe of Naphtali. So y'all can write that down there. Tobit was from the tribe of Naphtali, okay? Tobit was the tribe of Naphtali. So write that down. Because remember, we read earlier in 2 Kings 15 that Tiglath-Pileser and that just chapter 15, Tiglath-Pileser came up against the children of Israel, particularly Gad, Reuben, Manasseh, and Naphtali, and began to take them into Assyrian captivity. That was the first wave, but he didn't take all of them. He just took a small boat. A larger boat came with Shalmaneser V. All right. Tobit chapter 1, verse 2. Who in the time of Enemessar, who in the time of Enemessar, king of Assyrians. Enemessar is Shalmaneser V. And here it says Enemessar. That is Shalmaneser V. So Tobit was during the time of Shalmaneser V. Okay? Shalmaneser or Shalmaneser V. Whatever you want to say. Was led captive out of Thesby, which is at the right hand of that city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee above Asher. So Shalmaneser V came up against the children of Israel during the second wave and took the northern kingdom of Israel into captivity into Assyria, and Tobit was in that bulk of that wave that got taken into captivity. So yes, Tobit was taken into captivity, even though Tobit was righteous, and we're going to get it. And he did everything according to the Lord. When the Lord judges the children of Israel, he judges us as a nation. Okay, so yes, that we have brothers and sisters in the scriptures that was righteous, but still had to go into slavery because of what the bulk of Israel did. Yes, it happens. All right, verse 3, Tobit chapter 1, verse 3. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the way of truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation, who came with me to Nineveh, into the land of the Assyrians. So Tobit went into the land of Nineveh, into the land of the Assyrians. So what is this saying? Is Nineveh is where? In Assyria. And who else lived in Nineveh? Jonah. Jonah lived during Nineveh. Remember, Jonah, Israelite, northern kingdom, had to go preach to the Ninevites, which were the Israelites living in that time, about the upcoming destruction that was going to happen according to the Lord. Remember, Jonah didn't want to do it, got swallowed up by the whale. It's another topic. But this lets you know that Jonah was teaching Israelites in Nineveh, because we read in 2 Kings 15 how Tiglath-Pileser had already took a small boat of the children of Israel, the northern kingdom. Hence, one of those tribes was Naphtali, into Nineveh. He had already took them there. Gad, a book of Gad, a book of Reuben, a book of Manasseh, and a book of Naphtali during the first wave was already sent to Nineveh, to Assyria. So when Jonah was in that land, who was he talking to? He was talking to Israelites that was put there during the first wave. It's that simple. I don't know what these Christian pastors are talking about, but it's that simple. Tobit chapter 1 and verse 4. And when I was in mine own country, in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father, fell from the house of Jerusalem, which was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. I'm going to get that too, by his father. That all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages. Now, it came a point in time where the children of Israel was in the midst of sin. Because of who? Because of Jeroboam, the one that was ruling over the northern kingdom of Israel. He set up all types of groves, all types of idolatry, trying to make up his own. He was trying to make up his own feast days. You know what I'm saying? Saying, oh, look, we're going to make this day. We ain't going to call it tabernacles, though. We're going to call it this. Trying to create his own gods and everything. Some of the children of Israel followed behind that madness and went into idolatry. Hence why the Lord put the spirit on the Assyrians to come against us. Hence why the Lord put the spirit on Sennacherib to come against us. Because of our idolatry. I told you, Northern Kingdom got a huge problem with idolatry. I'm telling you. But Tobit was saying that's how his father fell off. His father went into that abomination, into that idolatry. But Tobit was like, yo, me and my family, we ain't about to do that. So it was righteous people during that time. But verse 5, now all the tribes which together revolted, and the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer Baal. So the Baal, the devil that Jeroboam had set up for the northern kingdom, Tobit's father fell into that. He fell out of the commandments and went into that idolatry and started worshiping the devil Baal that Jeroboam set up. So Tobit is saying, yo, even my father fell into that madness. Let's keep verse 6. Yep. But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of increase, with that which was first shorn. And them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron. So when you had to go 3 times a year, when you had to go to the Feast of Pentecost, when you had to go to all the time that you had to keep the commandments and you had to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, Tobit said, me and my family was doing that. I wasn't following behind my father and those other tribe of Naphtali and the other northern kingdom of Israel that followed Jeroboam into their idolatry, and it became a generation of sin. Tobit didn't fall into that. Remember, we are still in the second wave. Remember, it was already prophesied that the Assyrians was going to come against us, and King Hezekiah mainly prophesied and prayed to the Lord about Sennacherib because he knew how crazy it was about to get. Okay, remember all of that we still talking about it. Tobit chapter 1 verse 7, the first 10th part of all increase I gave to the sons of Aaron who ministered at Jerusalem. Another 10th part I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem. Verse 8, and the third I gave unto them to whom it was meet, as Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, because I was left an orphan by my father. How was Tobit left an orphan? By his father? Because his father went off into idolatry, stopped keeping the law, statute, and commandments, and went off. And Tobit kept keeping the commandments. Because of who? Because his grandmother, Deborah, raised him right. So it is women in the scriptures, which this ain't the first one. You got the woman with the 7 sons. It is women in the scriptures that raised their sons right. In this case, her grandson. She kept him straightway in the law, statute, and the commandments of God. And Tobit didn't fray away from that, even though his father did. Okay. Verse 9. Furthermore, when I was come to the age of a man, I married Anna of mine own kindred, and of her I begot Tobias. And when we were carried away captives to Nineveh, I told you Tobit was a captive. All my brethren and those that were of my kindred did eat of the bread of the Gentiles. So when Tobit went to Nineveh, a lot of the children of Israel, the northern kingdom, was eating the bread of the Gentiles. What was they breaking? Leviticus chapter 11. You can read it on your own time. I want to make sure I got enough time. Leviticus chapter 11. To know the Leviticus chapter 11, verse 45 on down, to know the difference between the clean and the unclean, what is sanctified and what's not, and what can be eaten and what can't be eaten. And Tobit said when he became a captive in Nineveh and was shipped over there during the second wave, he seen his brothers defiling themselves with the bread of the Gentiles. Okay, of the Gentiles. So we're gonna keep reading down. I actually think I'm gonna get a chance to finish. Verse 11. But I kept myself from eating because I remembered God with all my heart. And that's what we got to do. We got to continue to remember the laws, statutes, and commandments. Because like Joshua said, let me see. Like Joshua said in Joshua chapter 24 and verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose ye this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. And that's what Tobit was saying about his household, because I remember God with all my heart. You think he just let him remember? No. His family remembered everything God said with all their heart. And Tobit kept the commandments, him and his family. All right, back to Tobit chapter 1 and verse 13. And the Most High gave me grace and favor before Anamesar, Shalmaneser the fifth, the king, so that I was his purveyor. When you look up the word purveyor, that's going into a merchant, or what we like to call the procurement. Somebody that goes out and procures things for the king. You know what I'm saying? If you go into a lot of businesses and stuff, they may have a procurement team. Somebody that strictly goes out and buys the stuff that they need and bring it back to the company. So Tobit had a job in captivity. Tobit had a job in captivity, and he found favor in the eyes of Shalmaneser the fifth, and became his particular purveyor, his right hand purveyor. So Tobit was, working right hand in hand with the king, basically. Okay, so Tobit had a job in captivity. All right. Now, verse 14. And I went into Media and left in trust with Gabael, the brother of Gabrias, and Ragus, a city of Media, 10 talents of silver. So Tobit went into Media and he left money there for his brethren. And at Rags, the city of Media. When you look up Rags, the city of Media, this was a safe haven for the Israelites that wasn't caught into captivity yet. It was like a safe haven that they was living at to hide from the Assyrians trying to capture them. When you look up Rags, the city of Media, that's what it was. So when Tobit would send money there into Media for the brethren that was living there. But here Tobit said, I can't go into Media anymore. He said, I went into Media and left a trust in there, the brother at the Rags of City. So now, when we read on, Tobit is going to say he can't go back into Media anymore because of a particular individual. All right. We're going to stop there, and we're going to go to the book of Tobit, chapter 14 and verse 4. I just want to show you who was there. Tobit chapter 14, I'm going to start at verse 1, and then I'm going to jump. So Tobit made an end of praising God, and he was 58 years old when he lost his sight, which was restored to him after 8 years. And he gave alms, and he increased in the fear of the Lord and praised him. Verse 4. Verse 3 was very aged. He called his son and the 6 sons of his son and the 6 and the hold on. He called his son and the 6 sons of his sons and said to him, my son, there we go, take thy children, for behold, I am aged and am ready to depart out of this life. Go into Media, my son, for surely I believe those things which Jonah the prophet spake of Nineveh, that it shall be overthrown, and that for a time peace shall rather be in Media. Remember, that's what I said about the rags city of Media. And that our brothers shall lie scattered in the earth from that good land, and Jerusalem shall be desolate, and the house of God in it shall be burned and shall be desolate for a time. So Tobit is saying right here that Media shall be a time of peace. Okay, that's what the rags city in Media was. It was a safe haven, a piece of safety for the children of Israel. A lot of them hid there before the Babylonian prophecy actually came to pass of Nebuchadnezzar and all of them taking over the Assyrians. Okay, so now that we got that, now let's go back to Tobit chapter 1, verse 15. So now we're getting some more history on why Tobit was sending money to Media, because it was brethren over there hiding in Media in the rag city for a safe haven from the Assyrians that was rounding up all the northern kingdom and putting them into captivity. All right. Now, Tobit chapter 1 and verse 15. Now, hold up. Before that happened, it says, I'm going to read it. Now, when Anamesar was dead, Shalmaneser, Sennacherib his son reigned in his stead, whom a state was troubled, that I could not go into Media. So when Sennacherib raised up in power, Tobit said Sennacherib was on a rampage, and I could no longer go into Media or send money to Media, because it was, we're going to get into it, Sennacherib was wilding on the children of Israel. But it was because of their sins. But he started wilding. So now it says, Anamesar and his Sennacherib reigned in his stead. So, but after Shalmaneser, you had King Sargon II. He was the third wave. Okay, you had Sargon the second. He was the third wave. Then Sennacherib came up. But you got to remember that it jumps. When you're reading the scriptures, it jumps points in history. And you got to be able to put the history together, put the books together. Okay, this go here, this go here. I know this happened in history. So once I go there, I got to stop there and go back here. So now we have to stop here when it says, now when Enemanessar was dead, Shalmaneser the fifth, it says Sennacherib raided his stand, but somebody reigned before Sennacherib. And now we're going to get that. Isaiah chapter 20 and verse 1. Let's get there. We have to get, because when you look up the kings of Assyria, when you finally get to Tiglath-Pileser, you got Tiglath-Pileser, you got Shalmaneser the fifth, and then you got Sargon the second, then you have Sennacherib. Okay. Isaiah chapter 20 and verse 1. In the year that Tartan came unto Ashdod. Now, this was during the time period of 721 to 705. 721 to 705, around that time when Sargon began to reign as the king after Shalmaneser V had died. Okay. When Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him and fought against Ashdod and took it. At the same time spake the Lord by Isaiah the son of Amos, saying, go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off thy shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. That was a prophecy of him walking naked and barefoot. That was a prophecy of the children of Israel was going to be taken, or was going to continue to be taken over and continue to be shipped out into captivity. But this time, it's going to be the third wave by Sargon II during the time period of 721 to 705 BC. So that was the third wave. First wave was Tiglath-Pileser that took a bulk of Northern Kingdom. The second wave was Shalmaneser V. He took a bigger bulk of Northern Kingdom. And the third wave was Sargon II. He took another huge wave of the Northern Kingdom over to the land of Assyria for captivity. Okay? 721 to 705. So now that we got all three of the waves, then came Sennacherib. So now we have to go back to Tobit chapter 1 and read verse 15. Y'all see how I was lining up? How much time I got? Okay. I got enough time, and I actually think I'm going to be able to finish. So we got time now. Okay. Tobit chapter 1, verse 15. Now when Enemanessar was dead, now we know that Shalmaneser V was dead. It says Sennacherib, his son, reigned in his stead. That did happen, but before he did, it was Sargon II. Okay. Sennacherib reigned in his stead, whom estate was troubled, that I could not go into Media. Okay. So now this right here began the rise of King Sennacherib. This began the rise of the King Sennacherib, which is the same person that King Hezekiah was praying to the Lord about to save us from the hands of him, because he was one of the kings that was wilding. And we're gonna get into it because we got a little bit of time. We're gonna get into it. So this was the rise of Sennacherib. So now let's get into Sennacherib. Okay. Second Kings. Remember, we still in Kings. This is Northern Kingdom stuff. Second Kings chapter 18. And we're going to start at verse 9. We got to bring the thought back. Second Kings chapter 18, verse 9. Now, watch this. And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel. Remember, we was talking about King Hoshea back in 2 Kings 17. That Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. Excuse me, y'all. Verse 10. And at the end of 3 years, they took it. Remember 2 Kings 17 was besieged for 3 years. Even in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Assyria, Samaria was taken. So the northern kingdom of Israel was taken in that time, in the 9th year of Hoshea. Verse 11, and the king of Israel did carry away, oh, my bad. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah and in Habar by the river of Gozan and in the city of the Medes. That is why Tobit was saying, yo, I can't go back into Media no more. I can't send money there no more, because now we are in the city of the Medes. The northern kingdom was in Medes, shipped over there at that time by the king of Assyria. Here's why. Verse 12. Because they obeyed not the voice of their God. Let me read that again. Because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and would not hear them nor do them. So the children of Israel wouldn't listen to the commandments. They wouldn't hear everything that the Lord told them to do. Not what he told them to do, not what his fathers told them to do, even not what Moses told them to do. We didn't listen nor hear them, nor did them. So that way, the Lord put the spirit on the king of Assyrians and that lineage to come against the children of Israel and put us in captivity. Boom. That's how it happened. This is lining up with the history. This is how it happened. All right. Now, verse 13. Now, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah and took them. So not only was Sennacherib took northern kingdom, Sennacherib was trying to take the southern kingdom of Israel too. And he succeeded. He succeeded at some point, because it said he came up against the fenced cities of Judah and took them. So Sennacherib was just going off, trying to get all the children of Israel. He was trying to get all of them. He went to the northern kingdom, then he went to the southern kingdom to try to take them out too. So now, what was going on with what Sennacherib, that king of Assyria, and the other Assyrians period? What was they doing to the children of Israel? Let's get it. Let's get 2 Kings chapter 19 and read verse. We're going to start at verse 27. 27. Now remember, we're in the time of King Hezekiah. I read earlier where Hezekiah already prayed to the Lord to have favor and defend the children of Israel from the hands of the Assyrians, especially Sennacherib, especially him. And remember, that prayer was very heavy. Watch this. How much time I got? Okay. 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 27. But I know thy abode, and thy going out, and thy coming in, and thy rage against me. Because thy rage against me and thy tumult is come up into mine ears. Therefore I will put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back the way by which thou comest. So when it says put a hook in your nose and a bridle in your lips, what did the Assyrians used to do to their captives? What did they do to the children of Israel? They used to, I ain't got no pictures. They used to put big metal hooks and hook them onto our lip, hook them around like what y'all do with your nose rings today. But it was real big. He would hook them in our mouth. They would put real thick rope on them and pull us by the chain by the mouth. They would pull us like this by the mouth. They would pull us by the chain, and they were hooking onto our noses and our mouth, and like straight in our nose like this, big metal, tie a rope around it and pull us like that. That's how they used to drag us. They was doing that to us. Real big horse hooks. Not only that, they were skinning our bodies alive, leaving them out there. They would decapitate, take off our heads, skin it alive, take the skulls, put them in bags, carry them around. They would hang up the skulls for an intimidation factor to the other nations to make sure they continue to follow the Assyrians, because they was the ruling kingdom at that time. That's what they used to do. Used to skin us alive and do all of that. And they used to throw our bodies over the walls, over the castles, over the walls and stuff, and we'll fall flat, dead, splat right there on the floor. And it was an order that you do not move them. You let the crows eat them. That's what used to happen. You can look up this history. That used to happen to the children of Israel. They would get killed, thrown over walls, decapitated, skinned alive, heads chopped off, but you could not bury them. You had to let them get ate by the crows so they could be an example to everybody else that tried to come up to the king of Assyria. Sennacherib and them was wild. And this is what King Hezekiah was praying about. This is what he was praying about. So we have to remember that, okay? Now, let's get Isaiah, because Isaiah was prophesying about this time too, because Isaiah was there. Isaiah chapter 37 and verse 17, we have to remember what Assyrians did to the northern kingdom. Isaiah chapter 37 and verse 17. All right, I got enough time. Incline thine ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Lord, and see. And hear all the words of Sennacherib. Because when you read earlier in your own time, you can read earlier in this chapter and read earlier in 2 Kings 19. Yeah, and 2 Kings 18, I believe. You can read all of the things that Sennacherib said he was going to do to the children of Israel and blaspheming the Most High God. That ain't about to happen. You ain't about to do all of that and think you're just going to walk around here willy-nilly and the Lord ain't going to touch it. It ain't happening. Hezekiah knew that. That's why he was praying to the Lord. Hey, Lord, open your ears, open your eyes and see. You see what Sennacherib doing. You see all the blasphemy he doing against you. You see what he doing to your children. Okay? And all the words of Sennacherib, which has sent to reproach the living God. Verse 18. Of a truth, Lord, the king of Assyria have laid waste all the nations in their country. He laid waste all the children of Israel in their country. And verse 19. And have cast their gods into fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore, they have destroyed them. Verse 20. Now, therefore, O Lord, our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord, even thou only. So this is more of the prayer that King Hezekiah is praying to the Lord to save us from this man Sennacherib. Save us from him, because you see everything that he's doing. Yeah, we broke the commandments, but now we are getting ourselves together. Some of us getting ourselves together. Lord, give us the opportunity to repent. Give us that chance. All right. Now, we're going to jump, same chapter. We're going to jump to verse 29. I think I got enough time. Verse 29. Because thy rage against me and thy tumult is come up into mine ears. Therefore will I put my hook in thy nose and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back the way by which thou comest. So that goes back to the same history. We read it in the Kings, and now we're reading it in Isaiah. Prophesied in Isaiah that these things would happen due to Sennacherib. But it all was a result of our disobedience to the Lord. Okay? That's where it was from. So you got to remember. Now that we're reading that, what happened when King Hezekiah began to pray to the Lord? What happened? 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 20. Verse 20. I want that first. Let me see something. Y'all bear with me. Let me see something right quick, y'all. Do I want this one? I'm going to 2 Kings, y'all. Y'all bear with me. I want to see if I want something else. Let's get 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. I like that one better. 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins, and will heal their land. So what is the Lord saying here? He's saying, if my people that are called by my name shall humble themselves, they shall pray to me, they shall seek my face and turn away from their wicked ways, then will I hear them. I wanted to bring that out. In particular, I wanted to bring that out. Now get me 2 Kings chapter 19. Let's see what happened when Hezekiah continued to pray to the Lord. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 20. Then Isaiah, the son of Amos, sent to Hezekiah, saying, thus saith the Lord God of Israel. So this is what the Lord told Amos to tell Hezekiah about his prayer. That which thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, I have heard. So the Lord said, I heard you. I heard you, Hezekiah. You humbled yourself. You're coming to me for help. I heard you. And guess what? I got you. I heard you and I got you. So when he heard Hezekiah, what was the proof that he heard him? Let's get the proof that he heard him. Now we're going to get 2 Kings. We're in 2 Kings a lot. Chapter 19, and we're going to start at verse 32. I think I'm going to have time. I think I'm going to have time. Verse 32. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. So the Lord is saying, yo, go tell Hezekiah that the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, he ain't going to have no arrow to shoot. He ain't going to be able to come before the city with a shield, a sword, or nothing, nor come against nothing about the banks. I heard you. You go tell him, you go tell Hezekiah I said this about what Sennacherib ain't going to be doing from now on, because I heard you. Verse 33, by the way that he came, by the same shall he return. Remember, by the way Sennacherib came is the same way he will return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend this city to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. So the Lord said, I heard you. I heard your prayer. I heard that you humbled yourself. Now I will defend the city against King Sennacherib. It's on me now. I got it. That's what the Lord is saying. So he heard the prayer of Hezekiah. He heard the prayer and he said, now I will defend this city. That's what the Lord said. Verse 35. Do I want to keep going? Yes, I do. And it came to pass that night. So how did the Lord defend that city? Giving proof to Hezekiah that he heard him? Here is the first way the Lord defended the city. Verse 35. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out. One angel went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So the Lord sent an angel against the Assyrians, Sennacherib and his army. Just one angel. And that one angel killed 185,000 of the Assyrian warriors in their sleep. In their sleep. So you got Sennacherib and the remaining of his army, the little remaining of his army. Then you got to imagine they all wake up and it's 185,000 of them dead. Shout out to the Lord for sending that angel. All praise to the Most High. But that's how he defended the city. That's proof that he heard Hezekiah. He heard the prayer. And remember the title, The Prayer That Saved Tobit. Because now you may be saying, hey, listen, I hear you talking about that. We was at Tobit earlier. But okay, we going back to Tobit. Because Tobit got into some stuff that King Sennacherib did not like. But this was the prayer that saved him. Watch. Okay, now we're going to go to, so right there, we're going to read verse 36. 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 36, because I want to go somewhere else. So Sennacherib, so after Sennacherib woke up and 185,000 of his men was killed, this is what he did. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed. He left that land. He left that land and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. Dwelt at Nineveh. So Sennacherib, when he woke up and seen all his men dead, he said, oh, snap. Man, the God of Israel, man, I can't stand him. And he left the city and went back to Nineveh. That's where he went. Now we're going to stop right there because now we got to go back to the time period of Nineveh and who was living there. Let me get something right quick. Isaiah prophesied about this too. Isaiah chapter 37. I think I'm gonna have enough time. Isaiah chapter 37 and verse 36. We're gonna read the same history. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. Dead corpses. That's what they was, okay? So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. So now, you got to remember earlier, when it said he went and he returned back to Nineveh, got to remember, we're going to jump back up to verse 34. Watch this. We're going to jump back up to verse 34. By the way he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. So the same way he came from that landmass, that land of Nineveh. By the same shall he return. Sennacherib, after I kill all his men, he's going to go back to Nineveh. Boom. So now that's reading the scriptures and putting together. We got to go back to the time period of Tobit when he was in, well, Nineveh. Now let's go back to Tobit. I think I'm having enough time. Now we're going to go back to Tobit. We're going to go back to chapter 1, and we're going to read verse. Let's start at 15 again. Now when Shalmaneser the fifth was dead, Sennacherib, his son, reigned in his stead, whose state was troubled, that I could not go into Media. Now we understand why. We just read the history on what the Syrians, particularly King Sennacherib, was doing to the children of Israel. We just read it. Verse 16, and in the time of Shalmaneser, I gave many alms to my brethren, and I gave my bread to the hungry, because during the time of Shalmaneser the fifth, he found grace and favor in the sight of that heathen king. He was able to get a job, and the king gave him liberty to send funds back to his country, back to his men that was in Media, in the end, that safe haven. Okay, he was able to bring them money. He was able to bring them clothes when they needed. Tobit did a lot of good deeds. Okay, so Tobit made pretty good money as a purveyor of King Shalmaneser the fifth. All right, verse 17. And my clothes to the naked, he gave clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried them. So during that time, King Shalmaneser didn't have a problem with Tobit seeing the dead of his people and burying them, because they used to be cast over the walls and they were supposed to be laying there to be eaten by the crows, to be a visible and a national example of who not to mess with by King Sennacherib and the Assyrians. But because the Syrians were real cruel. But you got to remember, watch this. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any, King Sennacherib came back slaying many when he was come and fled from Judea. So when Sennacherib came back, when he fled from Judea, why was he fleeing from Judea? Remember, because he went there, King Sennacherib, to take over that city of the children of Israel. He went to take over Judea as well and take over more of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. What happened? The Lord killed 185,000 of his men. So when that happened, remember we read when it says the same place he came from, so shall he return. So after that, King Sennacherib came back to Nineveh. Now he pissed off that the God of Israel have killed 185,000 of his men. So he came back to Nineveh killing everybody. He just killing everybody. He see an Israelite, he see a North, and just throw him over the wall. Just don't. Won't. He just throwing everybody. And said, don't nobody bury them. I don't care what the other king said. You leave them there to be an example and to get eaten by the crows. But let's see what Tobit did. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any when he was come and fled from Judea, I got enough time, I buried them privily. So Tobit would go behind him and bury them privately. For in his wrath he killed many. His wrath from what? When the Lord when the Lord sent one angel to kill 185,000 of them. If one angel can kill that, when the scripture in the Revelation said God coming back with his thousands, his 10,000, his 10,000s, millions of angels. If one can do that, what you think they gonna be doing? I can't wait for that day. Hey! Anyway, for in his wrath he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought out for the king. So King Sennacherib would throw bodies over there, get his men to kill the children of Israel, kill the northern kingdom, throw them over. And then he would come back to look over the walls to see the bodies being ate by the crows, but they wasn't there. Because Tobit was keeping the laws of God and going to bury his family members, like the commandment says. So Sennacherib like, yo, wait a minute. Where them bodies at? I know I threw over at least 30 today. Where they at? They supposed to get eaten by the crows now. Verse 19. We're gonna keep reading. Verse 19. And when one of the Ninevites went and complained of me to the king, that I buried them and hid myself, understanding that I was sought for to be put to death, I withdrew myself for fear. So King Sennacherib heard that it was Tobit that was burying them, and he sent the army against him. Hey, man, go get Tobit. Go get him and put him to death. And he know good well he ain't supposed to be burying them people, because that was the decree. Let them get eaten by the crows. I want the order. I'm making a decree. Go find Tobit and kill him. Remember, y'all got to remember the prayer that saved Tobit. The Lord told Hezekiah, I heard you. I heard you. He already did it one time. Is it going to happen again? Let's see. Where we at? We at verse 20. Now he sent the stuff. He sent the man to go find Tobit, but Tobit was hiding. Verse 20. Then all my goods were forcibly taken away. Neither was there anything left me besides my wife Anna and my son Tobias. So this like the IRS came in and just took all Tobit's stuff. They said, oh, y'all can't find, matter of fact, go find him and go in his house and take everything from him. All that stuff, all them goods, all that money and stuff, take all that for him. And you found him and you put him to death. So now King Sennacherib is on Tobit heels for keeping the commandments and burying his brother like he's supposed to, and not leaving him out there in on the road like that, on the street, getting eaten by the crows. So Sennacherib is on Tobit heels now. Now it's a hit out on Tobit. I remember that. Where we at? Verse 21. And there passed not 50 days. We're gonna stop there. We're gonna stop there. We're gonna stop there. Now we're gonna go back to 2 Kings chapter 19. 2 Kings chapter 19. I'm almost done. Yep, and I'm gonna finish. 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 20. Then Isaiah the son of Amos sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, that which thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Israel, of Assyria, I have heard. Against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, I have heard. I had to go back to that because the Lord told him he heard him. Isaiah. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 37, because we almost done. Isaiah chapter 37. And this is the part I want. Verse 35. Remember, he said, I heard you. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sakes and for my servant David's sakes. So I had to go back to that point to bring back the thought, the prayer that saved Tobit. So that prayer, now he already done saved the city where Hezekiah and them was at, and the other children of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel, and parts of the southern kingdom. He already heard the prayer of Hezekiah and saved them from the hands of Sennacherib. Now let's see how that prayer saved Tobit. Now go back to Tobit chapter 1 and verse 21. I think I'm going to finish. Yes, I think I am. Yep. So, like I said, how did he defend it? He killed 185,000 of the Assyrian army first. Here's the second way. Tobit chapter 1, verse 21. And there passed not 50 days. So 55 days later, after King Sennacherib put the hit out on Tobit and went to his house and took all his goods and all his stuff, 55 days later, before two of his sons killed him. So the Lord put the spirit on Sennacherib's sons to kill him. So King Sennacherib was killed by his own two sons. So that was the Lord hearing the prayer of Hezekiah that ultimately saved the city, and it saved Tobit from the hands of King Sennacherib. He was killed by his own sons. And they fled into the mountains of Ararat, and Sarchedonus, his son, raised in his stead, who appointed over his father's accounts and over all his affairs. So Sarchedonus began to reign in the stead of Sennacherib. Okay. Watch this. And all his father's affairs. Y'all forgive me. I don't know how to. Archiarchus, my brother, now son. So he appointed over all his father's affairs. So Sarchedonus appointed Archiarchus, my brother's now son. So Tobit's brother's son was appointed over all the accounts and all the affairs over that time by Sarchedonus, the son of Sennacherib. Right? Yes, the son of Sennacherib. Matter of fact, let me get that. How much time I got? Let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. Yes, Sarchedonus. We're gonna go back to 2 Kings. I got enough time. 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 37. And when it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adrammelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia. And Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. So Esarhaddon, or Sarchedonus, the son, he put Tobit's brother's son into power over the accounts and over the affairs over that. That was his particular job. Who was that person to Tobit? That was his nephew. His nephew. Now we go back to Tobit chapter 1 and verse 22. And Archiarchus entreated for me, his nephew's son. I mean, his brother's son, his nephew, entreated of him. I returned to Nineveh. Tobit was able to return. Now, Archiarchus was cupbearer and keeper of the signet. So his nephew was the cupbearer, the keeper of the signet, and steward, and overseer of the accounts of all the monies and all the affairs. And Sarchedonus appointed him next unto him, and he was my brother's son, meaning my nephew. So when his nephew got into power under the king and became the cupbearer, the keeper of the signet, the steward, the overseer of the accounts, he got the king to take that hit and get all of the charges dropped off of Tobit. So basically, he was that mediator that got the charges dropped off Tobit that was put in place by King Sennacherib to go kill him. So ultimately, Tobit was saved by the Lord when he defended the city and came to defend Tobit. But all of that happened due to the prayer of who? King Hezekiah. And the Lord said, you humble yourself, you come back to me, you seek my face, and you pray to me, and you turn from your wicked ways, I will hear you. And he told Hezekiah, I hear you. He defended the city, and he saved Tobit. Okay? One more scripture. 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, and verse 21. Last scripture. 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, and verse 21. Because this history was so heavy during that time that our forefathers used to talk about this history all the time in order to boost the motivation when they go on the war to the man. All right. 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 21. And Maccabeus, seeing the coming of the multitude and the diverse preparations of armor and the fierceness that the beast stretched out his hand towards, and the fierceness of the beast stretched out his hand towards heaven and called upon the Lord that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemed good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy. Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner, O Lord, thou didst send thine angel in the time of Hezekiah, king of Judea, and didst slay in the host of Sennacherib 184,500. So Judah Maccabeus is using this history as motivation to the men before they go to war. Remember what the Lord did in favor of Hezekiah and the king of Judea during that time of King Sennacherib. Remember what he did to him when he sent that angel. Verse 23, here's the point. Last verse. Wherefore now also, Lord, the same way you did back then, O Lord of heaven, send a good angel before us for a fear and dread unto them. He said, send a good angel. So what type of angel was that came to protect the children of Israel during the time of King Hezekiah that killed 185,000? That was a good angel. So when the Lord is ready to protect us, we pray to him, we humble ourselves. He brings good angels to fight spiritually for the children of Israel. That's the reason why we get these victories. It's not for our own might only. Yeah, we're physically doing it, but that's the power of the Lord that he's putting on us by the hands of the angel that he's sending to protect us. Those are good angels. So what type of angels do the Lord send against us when we are in the idolatry? We are in the midst of sin. What type of angels do he send against us? He put evil angels to put the spirit on other nations to come against the children of Israel. So when we do good and we humble ourselves and pray, the Lord will send a good angel. When we're disobedient, he will send the evil angel. Because it's not y'all nations that's doing it. It's not y'all. Last scripture. I got to say this. It's not y'all nations that doing it, because that's what the king of Assyria thought. That's what the Assyrians thought. They thought it was them. I got to do it quick. Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 7. Howbeit he meaneth not so, neither do his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. When the Lord put the spirit on these other nations, they get all brolic and act like it's them. Just like today, Esau really think it's him that's going against the God with his own power, and the Lord ain't got nothing to do with it. No. The Lord put the spirit out there for you to be in rulership right now. So when we are keeping the commandments, the Lord sends a good angel. When we in the midst of sin, the Lord sends an evil angel. Why? Because it takes a God to kill a God. You other nations can't do it. It ain't you. It ain't you. So with that being said, that was the prayer that saved Tobit. All right. Hope y'all gleaned something from that class. I'm glad I was able to finish it. This was History in the AM. Officer Sear, IUIC Raleigh, Most High, and Christ bless.